going on. Local media all around us, and they're not reporting what is going on in the city of Flint. So I'm going to pull that one up because it was an article. It came out, Scripps News investigates, and that's what we talk about when we say investigative reporting. And let me just say thank you for coming today, because I know you've been busy doing the work of the people. We appreciate you. We appreciate your service.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you being my councilwoman. Oh, that's right. You're not, but I act like you
Yeah,
are. But
by default.
by
By
default,
default.
I do. I appreciate that.
Wow.
And a lot of residents around the city look to you for guidance, direction. What can we do, and can you help me?
There's a lot of help that the community needs.
There's a lot of help that the
There's a lot.
community needs, and we've been together all day. I mean, there's a lot going
There's a
on in the
lot.
city.
Literally, this is our third
time
today, and we're not even 2:00 yet.
Right.
So,
And I'm going to tell you, I called Councilwoman Burns because I don't know if you all have seen this, but it's on your page, isn't it? This article.
it is on my page, and the scripts about the water.
It says records missing, phones out, Flint water crisis not over. Well, hello, we know that.
Exactly.
And they're bold enough to put it in print, and we appreciate them for doing that.
It was real journalism, and what I look for is integrity in journalism and a factual story. And the good part is, when I spoke with her name is
Carrie
Cochran, yeah, and she said we're not done because Flint's not done, and she says, you know what? She says we're going to be back. She's spoken with her higher ups, her bosses, and said because Flint is a story to be told.
You know what? Now, what did I always say when I was in office? Pay attention to Flint.
Pay attention.
I said Flint needs to stay in the national spotlight.
Absolutely.
People have wanted to take us out, and
they have,
but we're coming back.
The water crisis has disappeared underneath this past administration, and the people have been forgotten about, and the people have been lied to consistently.
Consistently. And that's been the problem. So this article comes out. You're quoted in this article.
That one.
Now, look, I talked to them, but one of the things, and I'll tell you what she was saying to me, and I referred her to some people because I said, you don't have to take it from me. I'll give you some names. You can talk to these people. But one of the questions I got asked was about we haven't finished the water pipe replacement.
No.
It's been this is the 4th year of this current administration being in office.
Correct.
We were 85-90% done. 90. Thank you, because and it still hasn't been completed.
It's still 90 with some excuses. And what happened is the numbers haven't been nailed down. I do know because I'm very active. I had residents who were still living with 22 parts per billion with their home, that their water lines their service line was just changed. Was it last fall? And I actually went out to it. So a lot of this is, there's no transparency. I still have one of the ladies in this story, Hadia, she's in the 6th ward also. Her service line, they called her the next day after. She's been trying to get in touch with them. I know that Michelle Young, hers has not been changed or even checked. And so when we look at, how they keep moving the goal, and they don't know. They said we had 2,000 restorations before, then they said 2,500, then it was 6,000, then it was 8,500. Then it said, I don't know.
The excuses. These are the excuses, because when I talked to Carrie, she said one of the things they said was they didn't have any records.
Correct.
And they didn't know what to do. I said, well, that's not true. I said, when I got in office, we didn't have records. Things were on index cards. We got records put in place. How can you be a year ahead of schedule, is what I said to this reporter. How could we have been a year ahead of schedule if we didn't know where to go?
Well, I think a big problem is, too, when we talk about the talent that Flint has lost since you were mayor. And so you had your DPW director was Rob Benzik.
That's one of the people I told her to go talk with.
I did, too.
I said, talk with him.
And he kept everything on target, I almost say under budget. He didn't allow all the change orders. And so what happened was Rob Benzick he was still with the city. He left the city. He left because there was a $36,000 capacity building grant that they were not, Mayor Neely was not giving back to him. So he went to work at Swartz Creek. He would lose in his retirement. And it didn't cost the taxpayers anything. It was adding that $36,000 to pay him. DPW, I believe, is our biggest department in the city of Flint.
Okay, I'm gonna give you another one. There were no contractors. I said, AECOM was still there when I left. They left under his dime.
Yeah, yeah.
So AECOM was there. So to say there were no contractors,
it's not true. And the part, as we learn, we grow. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you put in a situation where you need to see something to dispel it. W.T. Stevens, which was the first Black company mm-hmm. to receive a multi-million-dollar contract, and they had the contract. They are still owed almost $1 million by the city of Flint.
Pay W.T. Stevens.
Yeah. Look, give them their money.
Give them their money. And we haven't heard about that in the news either.
You're correct, but they have not been paid. And not just that, they were ostracized from, and personally
they brought that up. I said, if they did such a poor job, guess who's doing the job?
Now I went to the site to see. And I put it on video.
Tell it.
Because
they were accused of all kinds of things.
They were accused of all types of things.
That weren't true.
Right. That they were breaking pipes. But it was normal. If you're going to have certain, than Lang and any of the other companies, there were no more issues than the other ones. And as a matter of fact, they had trained, I believe, Lang to do service line replacements and some of the other companies.
They had.
So I went to the site.
Article.
One of the sites, it was in my ward. And who was changing the pipes? It was W.T. Stevens changing the service line. Now, what had happened was, I believe, the day before, Mayor Neely came with the news, and he was talking to them. He said, "Oh, what's your name? What's your name?" Well, no, your last name Stevens. He didn't want anyone with the last name Stevens because it's a family-owned company.
Right.
Their father started in the 50s when we did the interview with them. And he didn't want to acknowledge that this was the group that he had said was the company that was so horrible that was the company that was there taking
saving
care
our behinds
saving.
Trying to.
That's correct. Because we've missed three deadlines.
That's what I was going to say.
The money was mismanaged.
Right. This says in this article, this came out Monday.
I forget my days.
Me too. But they just said that let's see, where is it? Just this past Friday, a federal judge determined the city has violated and is violating the settlement agreement to remove the threat of lead from home areas. Citing the city's mismanagement of the program, U.S. District Court Judge David Lawson concluded the city, and this is in quotes, has not done what it has promised to do. It has not done what it has promised to do. What you say?
Well, the city hasn't, and it makes it difficult because we lost our DPW director, who was like the project manager.
Right.
His job was a lot to do for actually the small amount of his pay, to be honest, because he's really charged with our water quality, running, that water plant, the service line. He did a lot. So he quit and went to another community,
right?
Which we're happy to take him. We had no DPW director for 6 months until I raised the questions about the bacteriological test.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of people, Tonya.
Councilwoman. We don't.
But in a city that's had their water poisoned,
we should
not have somebody over the water.
We don't have
inexcusable.
And you're correct. And we don't have. So we didn't have one. The city administrator did that job for about 6 months.
Stop. Okay. Stop.
Well,
you know what? Okay, so I'm gonna tell my age because I used to watch this show called Petticoat Junction.
It still comes
on.
And
it was what was his name? Sam Drucker. And he stood behind that counter. If you needed the fire chief, he pulled a hat out and put the fire chief
on.
If you needed the post marshal, he pulled that hat on. Whatever you needed. Sam Drucker was the face of it.
And that's what it's turned out, with the city of Flint. So we did end up getting one after see, Flint had not had even a boiled water advisory. Flint has only had one boiled water advisory issued since you've been out of office.
And that's dangerous.
It's very
because people
dangerous.
don't know you have to change your filters after that.
Yeah, not just that. We average about 250 water main breaks a year. And so we had not had but one boil water advisory. And it's not just me following this. There are people who are watching and concerned in the community. They don't even all live in our community.
That's why you use the emergency alert system.
No, you use that for Easter egg hunts.
You don't use it for Easter egg hunts. You use it to alert people about things that are important, that impact their lives in the community. But this is what your mayor said as to why almost 4 years after we were 90% complete. He said, we will not, he told the truth here. That's a first. We will not rush through this process. Well, you didn't, and you haven't. Just to say we got it done. Flint Mayor Sheldon Neely told Scripps News. That's what he said, that y'all not going to rush through it, Tonya. Well, why not?
Here, let me go back to, we did get a new DPW director, and the process is going to be slowed, I feel, even further. Mike Brown came. Mike Brown presented at the trash hearings that he felt he worked in a hostile work environment because the mayor had yelled at him and it instructed him to shred the trash contract and to get it off of this, the CFO's desk, Shelby Freyer. So Mike Brown retired. We're now into the phase where it's they're back changing service lines, should be. We have no DPW director again. So now the city administrator for the second time is the DPW director. And that's a problem because he has no training in that. That's not his profession. It's not, he has no licensing.
What's his degree in?
I have no idea.
But he has one.
Yeah, he does. I know he was in accounting.
Right. I'm just saying he didn't lie.
No, but he keeps asking for $50,000 raises. Right. But he's doing like 10 jobs though. So
Neely said, this is the article, not me.
In the Scripps
article. Neely said he was plagued by poor record keeping from the previous administration, which is not true. He also said the pandemic contributed to the second missed deadline. Scripps News asked him about the most recent court-ordered deadline his administration agreed to, but then missed last September. He said deadlines were set and deadlines were missed. I admit to that. Some could be contributed to me and some could be contributed to other pieces.
Well, here's the thing. If he had no records, you go to the state.
Well, what happened to the records? Those got shredded too? Because the records were there. I mean, no, really. What happened to records? There were records there. At first, and for him to say that is just a blatant lie. And thank you, 810 News Media, for bringing this to us as well. Because you have to create your own platform to get information.
You do. Well, with the records, and let's dispel his lies. Mm-hmm. Well, if there were none, we're in the state of the digital age. Everything's on computer, so that's a lie. That's a lie. So even if every computer and every backup was lost, which we have an IT department at the city of Flint, you go to the state of Michigan, because for everything that service line that the city turned in, the state reimbursed them. You can cross-reference those. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out. And so when we look at how and what has happened, we can take what the judge said. It was a mismanaged funds, and 3 deadlines missed. And Judge Lawson was very stern about that.
As he
very
should
stern.
Be.
Because Jackson, Mississippi has completed theirs, Benton Harbor has completed theirs, and Flint, who had their water crisis ahead of everyone else.
And was the fastest water line replacement in the country.
Correct. And ours aren't done. And there are people in my ward who are still saying, hey, when are they going to, change my service line? Hey, when am I going to get my driveway, fixed where they tore it up? Where am I getting my sidewalk? When are they going to restore my grass? We don't have, this was one of the things our DPW director, Mike Brown, before he retired, and he was quoted in the article, he said, even if I had the people, which I don't have the money.
Your quotes in here.
said, I don't have the money to do it.
Okay, so Tonya, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Burns.
I know, because we friends. We so you just
I know it.
right.
Councilwoman Burns. He said he found 24 million or something that we knew wasn't found. It was already there.
Yeah.
But what happened to the money?
That's a good question. When we did not have a DPO, we had a lot of change orders. And so I believe the contractors and the companies took advantage of the city because they knew that we did not have a DPW director who wasn't skilled. That is not his area of expertise. So when you have someone running an area and a department that is not your expertise, you're going to have issues. He's now running that department again. It is not the city administrator's area of expertise. He has zero skills in that department, and you're playing with people's lives. This is water quality.
Right.
There's lead in the water.
There's
and
lead
more,
in the water and more.
more.
And Flint deserves better. It says, Neely said, I'm reading the article. Neely said pinning down the numbers was difficult given the variables in the project. He said, it's a moving target, y'all.
No, it's not moving. It's still at 90%. That target is not moving.
Well, that 90% is from when I was there.
Right.
So now, come on.
Yeah, it's moving at a slow pace. And then on top of that, you're looking at lead levels have started to rise since 2021. So something's going on with the lead levels in the home. We were on a trajectory to where they were dropping. They are now they're rising.
So
and that's in the article with scripts.
Okay, then he said, it's very important to this administration to make sure that the life, health, and welfare of every resident inside the community is taken care of, he said. We're going to stick with the number of more than 90% has been complete. Yeah, because okay, and we're finishing out the rest. When do Flint lives matter and this gets taken care of?
I think people have to hold their elected officials accountable. And
from cussing out pastors too. Go ahead.
Twice. And then somebody saying your
Second
mama.
Lord. Your mama.
Right. That was unbelievable.
Right.
I think that we have to start holding them accountable because this should have been done. Judge Lawson is infuriated. And we're not going to meet at the pace we're going this next deadline to be done by September.
You know what?
I don't see it happen. We have no DPW director again.
Find your quotes. I was going to find your quotes. But you know what it reminds me of? You said it won't be done by a certain time. Just like the payments. We get a call saying that Flint residents will not receive any of the money from the settlement before the end of the year.
Right.
It will take until then. And so
this is the part I don't get. I mean,
talk to
you
me.
have elected officials who you live in Flint. You choose Flint, and they don't advocate for Flint. You were a great advocator, and I missed that boat at first. You were busy doing the work. That's why I don't know who voted for him in his last election, and his suspect.
Maybe we need to ask the police.
That part. When you look at
there's a lot of suspect
names. But I'm gonna get back
here.
to the water.
Go ahead.
When we talk about how they keep missing the mark, and kids they still have to drink the water, cook with the water, bathe in the water, and how do we keep missing the mark on human life?
He also said that people could call.
Well,
and tell them what happened when they called. Well, you all listen to this.
In the interview, he did tell them that you could call and that he's got the navigators. And so the journalist went outside and called the number and it stated mailbox full. So when we talk about how we're failing on every level, if a resident is calling and they can't get in contact,
the number didn't work.
The number did not work. But he had just stated that the number worked in the interview. He just told.
See, that's what.
And the journalist.
That's what investigative journalism is about. You don't take things at face value.
That's correct.
You research and find out if it's true.
Right, because residents said that the number they weren't able to get in contact with anyone. That's why I give residents, in my ward, call me. I post my city cell phone number.
I just give your number out.
Everybody
I just give your number out. I'm gonna tell you. I had a card I was giving them. I said, I don't care where you live.
And I'm gonna answer my phone and help the people.
And so, okay, so here it is. It says, concerns. Okay, Flint Council member Tonya Burns. She said Public Works is the city's largest department, making up more than a third of all city employees. And since the crisis, she said it's clear just how important that department is to Flint. And now we have nobody over the department. There's no DPW director. I mean, okay, let me go on. You said just as residents cannot get answers, apparently, oh, you can't either. Elected
No,
officials cannot get them either. Burns said, without a director, quarterly reports that are supposed to be given to council members aren't being turned in. And you went on to, this is a failure that could have been avoided, she said. Those service lines should have been done. And when I've been traveling around, and when I go places, people are, they can't believe.
No, they look at you probably like you're crazy.
Right. That Flint's
not fixed. And Flint's not fixed. And when we look at it, is a scary place to be because I literally have residents who are, I still use bottled water. And Hadia, who has a son his entire life, who is in my ward, her son has grown up on bottled water. Her service line was not been changed. She tried calling. She contacted them. I don't get why is this not a priority? You want people to show up for you, but you don't show up for the people.
Right.
And that's the problem. Then just to have someone, the journalist who came who said, you're not crazy.
Right. But she asked the question. She said, why hasn't the media, local media reported? This is the same question that Jordan Sheraton was asking. Why hasn't the local media reported this? So look at this. So it says Scripps News told Mayor Neely we had spoken to residents of 7 Flint homes, including McAuliffe, who said that they tried and failed to get city inspectors to examine their water pipelines, but he had a hard time believing that could be true. This is what he said in quotes. I can't accept that as a statement of fact, Neely said. If they're calling here, we have health navigators going door to door. City Hall is open every day. Our phone lines are active and operational. Not.
Now she's in my ward.
No, they're not.
The resident that he's saying that she, Hadia McCullough, that's not true. It's very true. Her service line was not changed. And she's a very smart woman. And I'm quite sure she knows how to pick up a phone to dial. And so did the journalist who dialed.
Because it says the same day the mayor made that statement, residents alerted Scripps News that the city's Get Out the Lead phone number was not operational. Mm-hmm. She said, and this is the reporter, when we tried the line ourselves, we heard a recorded message saying the message box was full and hung up on them.
Yeah.
So you can't get a message to them. And
no.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to let you talk because I'm just.
I mean, and the article was, and I'm not saying it was the article, it was the news report.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot packed into, I think they would start at 9 minutes and it was cut down to maybe 7. But you could talk about, residents in Flint have been living with it for 9 years and they see no relief. And it's frustrating to them that, our voices are not heard. And it shouldn't be heard. This is a order by a judge.
Right.
And so you shouldn't have to speak up about it. It should be done. It should have been completed.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been completed. I may give you COVID for maybe 1 year.
Right.
Because we didn't know what COVID was, but it's an outside job.
It's an outside job. And the other thing is, say we took that year off.
W.T. Stevens was ready to work.
They were ready to work.
And they're working now.
And it doesn't take that long to get those pipes done. I mean, that was, Benton Harbor got done in a year and we had less than them to get done.
Right. But when pettiness takes over, and it was pure pettiness, because that contract set on that 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves down when you are in the mayor's office and you face it. Mm-hmm. And he stated that they would never get a contract as long as he was the mayor. He didn't care about the people.
Who? I mean, they who? W.T. Stevens?
W.T. Stevens.
I pay W.T. Stevens. Let me say that again.
They should be paid.
They should be paid.
And so when you talk about, I dislike this company for no apparent reason other than they supported you.
Right.
And you put the pettiness
But really,
over
they supported the community.
Lives. Correct. But when you put pettiness over people's lives, you should not be in office. Those service lines could have and should have been changed and would have been changed if he had not put that contract on the shelf. And I'm
So
telling the truth.
he put people's lives on
he
the
did,
shelf. That's what he
people,
did.
right? And he did, and people know. And I've been very transparent because I spoke up. You know, I worked for him. I got fired every day because I had integrity, and I didn't believe. Number one, you didn't find a $24 million. Two, W.T. Stevens is a company. Give them their money,
right?
You know, and I stood for what was right for the people, and I would do it again. You know, I do it without regret. And when we look at the fact that this could have been done, but because
could have and should have,
because of pettiness,
right?
And then he was doing
but he
interviews.
Got a speed bump in front of his house.
Well, there is a speed bump in front of his house. There is a speed bump.
They go fast down your street. How come you don't have one?
I've had 3 accidents on my street. Correct. You are correct. And let me tell you don't put yourself first. My sidewalks are the worst sidewalks, and I have 3 seniors who walk.
Yes, I've seen them.
Yep. Mrs. Parker,
yes,
retired.
I've seen them.
She's 93, I think.
Right.
And then Mr. and Mrs. Howe, and I forget the other neighbor's name, but they walk, and they're like, Tonya, my sidewalk goes like this. I said, I want to make sure I get residents taken care of first, you know. But this year, now we got to do something, you know. But you don't. When I saw that speed hump in front of, he did state that he didn't instruct them to do that. But so that was out of ARPA money.
Our waters.
Yeah, that was out of ARPA money, which residents haven't gotten any of the ARPA money. And I do want to say this: we are having an ARPA meeting this Saturday in the Dome at behind City Hall at 12:00. We have requested to have the Ernst & Young, the compliance firm. We had requested someone from the city. He said, Mr. Edwards, the city administrator, said he will not have anyone from the city, and people need to be outraged. And then we asked for the 12-member committee to be there because we don't know who they are. They picked a person for the 6th ward. I didn't pick that person.
You're supposed to do that.
Exactly. And according to the charter, they're not even following the charter. And so, you know, no one says anything. And I hold our council accountable because we have equal, that's the checks and balance. So be there this Saturday. Flint hasn't given their residents 12:00.
Noon.
12 noon. Flint residents haven't been given anything besides that $300 campaign water credit he used. Saginaw has did furnaces, they're doing roofs, and they have allocated their money.
You remember I said that when I was over African American Mayors Association. Those mayors had plans in place. They had met with their council. They had agreed on this is how we're moving forward, and they got started. That was, let's see.
That was 2020? When it started. And I think the first allocation was May 2021.
Yes.
And then the second one was 2022.
They had those plans in place. They were ready to move.
There's so much to fix here and so much to do. It's a once in a lifetime.
Exactly. This for something this big to happen and for this amount of money to come through,
right?
To be available to help improve the lives of the people, and for it to not go that way,
right?
You know, that's shameful.
I agree. But I think it's, you know, our council too. Our council is split, and people have that City Hall is for the people. You know, if you wonder what's happening with that $94 million, you need to come down there to find out.
$94 million anymore. I'm just saying.
Well, listen, one of those speed humps in front of the mayor's house came out of that ARPA money.
That's my point.
It did come out.
That's my point. It's not $94 million. We're going to look up if we ever get an accounting of it. What will it really be?
Well, and we look at
who's the finance chair.
Judy Priestley. But you look at how many CFOs we've had too.
Look at the one you have now.
Well, and
where did Jamaica say they came from? What was the name of that place? Excuse me. What's the name of that place? You know. Come on, Wentis, you know. Men at Work. What was the name of that place Jamaica said? Okay, it's a temp. No, it wasn't. No, that wasn't it. It was, but anyway, they came from a temporary agency is where your manpower. That's what Jamaica said. Jamaica said manpower, but they're from a temp agency.
And she was deputy. I didn't know her. I know Jen quit and Robert Whittigan, which they didn't allow. This council allowed Robert Whittigan to not answer questions, to be disrespectful, not give the reports that they needed. Now, she came in underneath Robert Whittigan when Jen quit. And Jen was very, very good. And she came in, she did state she came from a temp agency. She did state she does not have any municipality experience.
Okay, you know what?
Which is a part of the
They'd
charter.
have strung me up.
Yeah.
Now, no, I'm serious, Mickey. They'd have strung me up because they strung me up for nothing. And to have somebody over a city, your finances, come on, no municipal experience.
No, she doesn't have.
Now.
And per our city charter,
you're supposed to
at least 5 years.
Exactly, you're supposed to have that. That's a requirement.
Well, I'm looking at the council, and I'm looking at some of the interactions that. Yeah, but I'm looking at her interaction also with the council members, and some of them are, and it's not. People try to say, "Oh, it's just Councilman Mason." It's not.
No,
because Councilman Murphy had twice he didn't like her comments, and he told her, and how he said he didn't appreciate how she was speaking to him. And so when we look at that, everything is rubber stamped, and that's not. We're not there to give the administration what they want. We're here to vet it. And we know that vetting is not a thing that they seem to do with that administration, especially with that child sexual predator that was hanging around.
Dang, I know. Oh, okay.
So
that you're right.
He should have never been around City Hall.
Never been around City Hall. In fact, let's just take it a step further. He shouldn't have been around City Hall. He shouldn't have been around kids.
Children.
And I remember when we had the basketball camp at Northwestern. I was doing it with W.T. Stevens. And so it was not appreciated that the two of us were having this basketball camp for kids. Who do you think came up there with the Neely stuff, with the popcorn, with his picture on it? A sexual predator was sent to a school where kids were in a basketball camp.
Now, here's the thing, and people, I believe in second chances, but this guy, Johnny D. Peters,
over 40 chances.
That's correct. He had over 40 chances. And then the fact, and it just angers me every time I think about
child
who is tested positive with HIV. He's given a child HIV. I don't have people in my circle who are sexual predators. I don't have that. They're not my friends. They're not in my core group. We don't have any values that are the same.
No.
And every time I think about that vile demon, it just ticks me off because he was taken advantage of. And then on his Instagram account, you don't take advantage of children. You don't do that. How do you have someone? I have not been able to watch all of them.
I saw it.
Because I get angry every time. Every time.
Well,
but I mean,
you have to value people. You have to care about people. And obviously we have people in place that don't, that put their personal interest over the health and well-being of a community.
Well, he was riding around in a truck with the Neely magnet with one of your big signs.
He was taking my
campaign
down.
Sign was in the back of it, and it's on video.
But they had the nerve to call the AG about on my sign. Re-elect.
Well, they also took out the sidewalks right before.
Exactly.
I mean, so
right.
I mean,
I want to bring up another untruth, and this is very minor, but it's the point that we get lied to by this administration over and over and over again. I saw it on the news, Channel 12. Come on, you all know better. Because what they said was he's making the garage so it's not open to the public or whatever he said. I said, it's never been open to the public. The public has never had access to the garage, and not all employees have access to the garage. Councilwoman Burns, help me.
Well, the incident came from, first let me do the garage part.
Yeah, do the garage part for those that don't know.
There's only certain amount of parking spots in one garage door opener per parking spot. And you can't access it, if you supposed through the elevator and through the stairs, but no one's ever in that garage.
Right.
I mean, it is no one. You cannot drive your car into that garage. But what it came at, because we have these cliques, and the cliques need to stop.
Are they council cliques?
They're council cliques.
Okay.
And these are the cliques who run to the mayor's office. And so in a meeting, two Black women had driven. You can see them driving and coming in. We were over at the county building. 3 of the council members were outside talking and didn't notice the 2 women, and they video recorded them. Then, Councilwoman Priestley jumped out her car afterwards and was very disagreeable and rude. And Gina Luster has stated to her, I voted for you, I supported you. But what they didn't like was they had been recorded. They were talking about other council members, talking about things in a racial way. And so you had the 3 of them doing that. And
they
when they got
janky, aren't they? They janky.
So
I'm sorry.
Not the janky video. As a whole nother thing. So after that, I think that the article had to come out to get off of the Johnny Peters, because no
you
one
called him Johnny Peters. I thought it was Johnny Cole.
That's one. He has several aliases. And I think that was to try to get, because no one likes a sexual predator. No one likes a child sexual predator and then no one likes a child sexual predator with HIV. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Black, white, Hispanic, Latino, it doesn't matter. Nobody likes a child sexual predator.
Oh, I have a question for you. Okay, so Jackie said, where do people with disabilities park at the Dome? Is there handicap parking there? Does anyone know?
It must be Jackie Barnes. She has her dog. Is that Jackie Barnes?
Yes.
Okay, and she has her dog.
There should be some handicap back there, but there should be a lot of things.
It should be at the front. We would have to have that behind the Dome.
Right.
So probably those, and it is in the front. When you pull in, it's the ones right by the grass.
I was going to say there's some handicap by the grass back there. So you should be able to access that.
It is a ways to walk though, to get into the Dome from there. So it's not a close proximity.
I'm looking. Kevin said he changed his name in court. Well, you said Peters. I said, okay.
And he has other aliases. Well, what I want to know is what's in that phone that Sheriff Swanson has. I want to know what's in that phone and the communications, the text messaging, the videos, the hidden files that the forensic team was able to get into, to see, interview. Who was he talking to?
And you know what? We need to say thank you to him.
Yes.
For exposing this to the sheriff, because there are a whole lot of things that need to get exposed, and it's finally starting to happen.
To trickle out.
And like I said, it's sad that we have to have outside media come in and help us tell the truth about what's going on in Flint. And we have to have people like you that aren't scared to tell the truth in front of cameras and any place else. And talk to the people about what's really going on, because one of the things we know is an uninformed, misinformed community that's dangerous to ourselves. And when you talk about a predator, I think about, so you don't care about not only people but our kids, because we talk about they're our most precious, valuable resource. They're our future. But it's okay that we haven't had the lead service lines replaced. It's okay that they've been damaged and poisoned by water, and we know the cognitive implications that has. We know that we've had their caretakers, some of them, lose their lives. We've had a fire cover up where, again, we lost two young boys whose lives did not have to be taken that way. And now we have a sexual predator. So do you care about our kids?
Do you care about our community?
Do you care about us?
You care about our community? Do you care? Do you love Flint like you say you love Flint? And it's made me cautious with some of these people.
That was a pregnant pause there, wasn't it?
If a politician has a Jesus hat on and a cross on their lapel, I'm suspect at this point. Yes, I am.
No, you did.
If that's just because you should be able to convey your message. It's something behind, and it's very dark. It's a very dark thing. And when I look at all the things that have happened, the lack of judgment and discernment, it bothers me. It bothers me, because if you choose Flint, if you love Flint, you choose Flint. Then you're choosing the people. You're choosing to make it better.
Philip Lee.
And you can start anywhere to make Flint better.
There's so many places to start. I mean, you had ARPA funds, and the city is just as dirty as all. There's blight all over the place. That money could have been used for that. It could have been used to help people with their homes. That was one of the things we talked about is all these people with
Blue
tarps on their
tarps.
roofs, the janky sidewalks.
Yeah.
You want me to stop saying that? Janky.
No, because when you say that, I think of the song, and it's.
I mean, there were so many ways to help people.
And there isn't. That's why people need to come
plumbing,
to that. We all need that.
In-home plumbing, fixtures and appliances. We want clean water.
And that's
why we deserve a basic human right.
And you're correct. And that's why people need to come to this meeting this Saturday at the Dome.
Saturday.
At 12 noon. Mm-hmm. You need to come, tell a friend, send out your contact. If you want to do something, contact people and let them know to be there. Your voice matters.
So will we have enough council members there?
We won't be taking action.
Okay.
And so
you don't have to have a
quorum.
We don't have
to have.
Okay.
Correct.
This is informational.
It's information. If they do show up, then that's great. Mm-hmm. So then if they do show up, and if we want to put a motion on the floor to do something, which every one of them should be there.
They should.
I mean, these council people have this, we talk about a bubble. It's at behind City Hall. It's in the Dome at 12 o'clock. You need to be there because this is our money. This is the residents' money. No, this is not.
It's to pay some committees and it's
the 501c3s is the new hookups because Johnny Cole had a 501c3. He has a 501c3. He didn't get out of prison. Coats for kids. Right. And he had a 501c3. And I believe he submitted money to get ARPA funds. So people better show up because this is a hookup that people are doing. To me, it's criminal. That's the new hustle. Get a 501c3. Mm-hmm. And then there's the kickbacks on the other end. Mm-hmm. I give you that. You got to give me this.
Right.
So I'm looking at these very sketchy and skeptical. I'm not happy with the process, but residents got to come out. If I don't know the person that I'm choosing to pick, to go over these, approve or not approve, and I've never met them, and they may be a perfectly lovely person, mm-hmm. but that should be according to our charter, multi-member bodies are picked. That's our decision. I want someone that's trustworthy. Tonya Burns I ain't never been to jail. I don't have no criminal record. Until God be the glory, I ain't never had a speeding ticket.
Wow.
That was God covering me on that. So when we talk about the process with ARPA,
right,
then I have a problem because this
public safety issue. I was on my ARPA list, and we talk about public safety, and I'm talking about fire and police, and we couldn't do any. Okay,
yeah, we still have no public safety plan. We
now you've been asking for that since before you got in office.
Before I got in office,
you said we need a public safety plan.
We need one because we know where the issues are. And how do we bring, everything together, and how do we
see what else some investigative journalists said? Let me go back to that article. Let me find out what else. I keep saying investigative. I put the emphasis on investigative. People that research.
And that's the difference. Just like we talk about journalists who actually dig in stories. Ronnie Dahl with ABC 12 is a great reporter, journalist, and she covers story, and she's a paper chaser. So that everything she does, she verifies. He's trying to get rid of her.
Well, of course.
Yeah, he's got a problem with
her
because
that's what he did.
Mayor
with
Neely
other,
does, and he actually, and he sent a.
I thought they took an.
It was
oath.
funny. It was funny. He was going after me.
Had an oath or something to bring you the real news. There's something that they live by. They're supposed to.
Correct. With the journalism integrity.
Exactly.
And so when we look at journalists who do a great job, I appreciate a good story. If Tonya Burns robbed a bank, say Tonya Burns robbed the bank.
Oh,
tell the truth.
That would be on the front page over and over and over. And if they found out it was Tasha Burns and not Tonya Burns, it'd be on the back page.
Right.
Because here's what this journalist said, Carrie Cochran, said, we'll be following this story. That's how this article ends. If you all haven't seen it, it's on Scripps News, SCRIPPS News. They have done this story. They're coming back.
They're coming back.
Let me look and see. Mickey thinks I got these great eyes. I told him when I have my, he might have to read it to me. Yeah. Because now I can't even get.
where you mentioned that press release, is that creating a hostile work environment?
Say that again. Say that again.
Councilwoman Burns, why were you mentioning that press release, and how do you feel about it? Does it create a hostile work environment for you?
Well, I work at
those already a hostile work environment.
Yeah, and I always tell you, because you're a doctor. And everybody knows the next day after council meetings, I feel like I have PTSD, because literally it's like you at war to do what's right. And simple things like changing the library name yesterday. Councilman Priestley says she's not in agreement with it. She was talking about that. Okay, but it's being changed to a Black woman's name. What is your issue with changing the library name? And so we talk, it's like everything you have to fight. The House of Esther. They didn't support the House of Esther. We love babies, but we don't support the House of Esther. I don't have babies. We look at the things, and then somebody saying, Councilman Liddell Lewis told Councilman Mays, your mama. She cussed out Pastor Thompson not once but twice, calling them kind of MFs and all sorts of other words. So when we talk about stress in there, I had Councilwoman Eva Worthing stand up and invite me over for a fight. Wanted to, altercation. She wanted to entice me to fight her.
And Gloria Coles, for those that I knew her, she and my mother were friends, but she was the first Black female director of the Flint Public Library, the first ever. And we got a problem with
that
acknowledging and honoring
that you can't receive something in, and I'm like, I had to walk away. I had my niece with me.
Oh yeah, how did she like the meeting?
When she got to her great grandma's house, she said, "Oh, I got the tea."
It's a whole lot of tea there.
And it reminded me of Winters with the tea, and she's like, "Ooh, I got the tea," because when kids look at government, and how we function, and they look at it as adults, and some of the things that they say, okay, well, they're getting. She couldn't believe Councilwoman Lewis said, "Yo, mama."
I want to say, what was a 9-year-old's perspective of that?
She was like, "Aunt Tonya, did she really say that?"
So a 9-year-old knows that's wrong.
She said, "Aunt Tonya, why did she do that?" Aunt Tonya. I said, "We'll talk about it, London."
And the same reason she wanted the council to vote for somebody else as the first Black classroom teacher in the city of Flint, when everybody knows it was my mother. The same lady that would try to change history and take down a Black woman. That's why.
I think there must be
Liddell Lewis.
And I think there may be some self-hate there. When you have a ward, if my ward, you represent everybody, the city, but her ward is 91% or 92% African American. So she has to address the needs.
Is that St. Mark? Is that in her ward?
St. Mark's is in her ward, who Pastor Thompson, and let me apologize to Pastor Thompson again for the second time. I am sorry that one of my colleagues has cussed you out again for the second time and was disrespectful, because you are a faithful servant. You are an ordained minister, and I appreciate what you do for the community with the mental health services, with giving food,
we're not gonna let
the
that
clothing
go.
closet.
That is not
because
going away.
and she has
and it
to do it twice. Something is wrong with her. I mean, if I was out here cussing out pastors,
and then you say to your other colleague, your mama.
She did say your mama. And my niece was like, "Aunt Tonya."
And that's not the example.
But they want decorum.
Right. They want decorum.
Yeah.
But that's not the example that we are supposed to be setting for our young people.
No.
And that is not how elected officials are supposed to be acting.
She should be setting an example for conduct. And she's what she is, but it's a bad one. But I mean, but that's not she went to come after me after one meeting, charging. And the police officer had to give her several directives to stop, be quiet. I told you, close your mouth. Because she kept coming towards me. And so when we talk about conduct, something's wrong. There are some issues there. And I have January 23rd, I sent the council president, Allie Herkenroder, an email. I've asked her, I quit counting how many times. Look, I need to speak with you because we need to talk about how do we fix this? There's a lot that's going on. She has not yet responded to a date and has avoided me.
That's why I have to call you
as the council president.
That's why I have to.
So when she comes, right, and my thing is, you're going to have a serious altercation if you don't get it under control.
Exactly.
What is your mission for this council?
What is
your objective? What is your goal for this council? Because that's for the city. If you don't have a vision and she hasn't given one yet, then she needs to be replaced. You wanted that position, you have it. Her absenteeism is high as one of her other
I was gonna
colleagues
say
now.
she hasn't got. Has she gotten to match Eva yet?
No, I don't think anybody can at that point. But
Okay.
something's wrong. She's got to be looking for solutions. We miss certain training and things. She's disconnected from the council.
She's disconnected from this community. Yes. We have. we. This is live. This is live. So
Yeah, I know. My niece is in intensive care
Mhm.
at Hurley Hospital, and she's 6. And so I don't always put my business out there because I don't like
Mhm.
everybody praying for her because I don't know where some of them spirits come from.
That's
And she came. They're supposed to be back in North Carolina. Her mother is a post lady and works at U.S. Postal Service, and so Dr. Green is going to take I have always bought my little nieces the books, and Dr. Green is taking her Hey Pretty Girl, Hey Girl books over there to see her, to cheer up. And then when I went and told her that she was going to come, she was just so excited.
Well, you need to take care of that.
Yes.
You need to take care of that because you know what? Really, we shouldn't even be here having to have this conversation. But breaking news comes from 810 News Media.
And they stand.
And that's and I know our director here, Mickey.
And I'm sorry,
Thank
I got like
you.
a million.
No, I'm just saying, our director, we appreciate you having this platform because we wouldn't know a whole lot of things going on in the city of Flint without this, this 810 News Media platform. Because we shouldn't be here today having a conversation about pipes not being finished. And it's almost, we've passed year 9. They've been there this is the 4th year. And it took a Scripps News. It takes people like Carrie. It takes people from outside coming in to tell us what is going on in our city. And so we need to thank them. And I want people to go and read that article if you haven't read it.
And the video's on YouTube. And it's
right.
on my
There's
page.
There's a video with this as well. You all need to see it.
You do.
Hey, can we put it on our page? Just the video? I know we have. Well, the article is on the page, isn't it? It's on 810 as well. I wonder if we could just take that video out, but you can just click on it, can't you? And see it. And you all need to.
It's a good article because people here, just like we had
It's
Legionnaire's
research, right.
disease or Legionella, and we passed out flyers,
Right.
because they told the one lady on Concord Street in the 2900 block to not tell anyone. And here it is. She had her levels were testing at 0 for chloride residuals last year. And her next door neighbor actually caught Legionella. She had Legionella.
I was with you. We were going door to door over
we were
there in
doing
your
door to
ward.
door.
But you know what was disturbing to me was when we had the meeting with the EPA
The
over
dog
there in
store.
your ward. And I kept saying, where's the media?
Yeah.
Where's the media? No media there. And when they finally come, we think the story will be told.
Like, yeah.
And for some reason, the EPA person was a distraction.
Mhm.
And so I said, you know what, you guys, this is fake. Let's go. And we go out there and the media lady is outside. And what did she tell you? Because you asked her, are you going to cover this story? What did she tell you?
She said that they put a story of a dog over the people of the city of Flint.
Okay.
A dog. The dog story
was more important than the lives of the people.
The lives.
And I am a pet
Legionella.
person.
Yeah.
But over the lives of the people.
So when we talk about how the news is suppressed, that's
a problem.
Or people should have. It wasn't our job to knock on people's doors and to create a flyer to say it, because some people have compromised immune systems.
Exactly.
And they're getting treatment. Some are that's an older community over there that have been there. They're like, I'm not moving. And to have water legion, everyone's not going to recover for that, or the length of time that it would take them to recover.
Mhm.
So to have the news, which we thought they would cover, and the dog story to take over, that was disappointing. And I don't know, do we have to be outraged? How outraged? People should be outraged. They should be angry.
They should
They
be.
should be.
We have every right to be angry. That's for sure. Okay, you know what? Okay, I was embarrassed. Oh, I'm gonna read this. Can I read this? Because this is something that happened yesterday. And it says, can I? Okay, this is Wintus. She said, I was embarrassed. Mrs. Stanley was down there last night. How did you feel about that? She's an icon and did not understand why the meeting was running amok. Because it is running amok. And she knows how those meetings go because she's got a lot of history because she was the first lady of this city for years and years and years because her husband is Woodrow Stanley. And
Right.
you know why I'm saying these names? Because you're like, everybody knows who that is. They got 2 daughters, Heather and Jasmine, who lives in this community that
She did
that
do it.
Eva
She did assault her. That's an assault. And I saw it. And it was 2 weeks before
decorum.
correct.
Nothing.
But they didn't take care of that. But Mrs. Stanley, who is a very elegant and very poised, classy, and poised lady, was there, and the look across her face was disbelief.
She couldn't believe
disbelief because you get it got to the point when she got up to the point like, look, we've been waiting here, and 2 council members got up and broke the quorum.
Well, if you're gonna walk out on mothers who have lost their kids, they're gonna walk out on anybody. If you will walk out on a mother whose 2 sons have been burned in a fire, have died in a fire, a mother who lost her son in a police chase that we were said we don't have. If you will walk out, if you don't have a heart, if you don't have a heart,
it was a cold moment.
Then they're gonna walk out on her. They're gonna walk out on a whole lot of other people too, as they're gonna cuss out pastors and say your mama and jump up over you and tell you to come on. That's what's going. I mean, really, and that spills over to a school board that will call a black male a boy and a toddler. It reminds me of when I was in office and I was called a little girl, and we've allowed them to get away with these kinds of things, and it needs to stop.
It has to stop. You know, when you want respect, but they don't give respect,
right?
And
well, they give it to each. No, they give it to
each
certain
other.
people.
But then they lie, and they are habitual and pathological liars. I was disappointed that at that meeting that you had 3 educated Black women step to the podium with doctorate degrees, PhDs, masters, and they said a councilwoman, Eva Worthing, said she felt threatened. And they kept getting out their seat coming towards her. That was a lie. It was a LIE, a big lie. They did not do that. We have to quit perpetrating false narratives. You know, she keeps saying I'm a bully.
They said they can't hear me as loud as I'm talking. No, I'm reading this. She says she couldn't hear me. Candace says she couldn't hear me well.
Well, do a test and tell them, give it some thumbs up.
You hear me fine? Okay, but Brian said Tonya Burns. I don't know what that little thing